Well, hello everyone. In this lesson, we're going to show you how you can create some reports using a flow in Power Automate. So you can see it on the screen, I've got a gallery in Power Apps that has a list of employee names in the city and the state. We change this to employee name. So what I want to do is I want to export this gallery into a CSV file and email it to myself. So the first thing I need to do is identify the data source. So you can see here, if we go to data, I have a SharePoint list called XYZ Company. If I click inside the gallery, you can see that the gallery is referencing that same SharePoint list. And if we look at the SharePoint list, here it is right here with the same columns. So to be able to export the data, I'm going to create a simple flow in Power Automate. So I'm going to click on the Power Automate icon right here and create a new flow right inside of Power Apps. Let's give it a second here. All right, so we're going to do create from blank. We're going to use the Power Apps trigger. Let's go to a new step. So our data source we said was a SharePoint list. So we can type in SharePoint. I'm going to choose the get items action. The site address, I can just pick it from the list. The list name is XYZ Company. So this is what I have so far. The Power Apps trigger and the get items SharePoint list with the site address and the list name. Let's go to a new step. So I said I wanted to get a CSV file. So I'm going to type in CSV. The action is going to be a CSV table. There it is right there. Create a CSV table. So I'm going to select it. It's asking me from. So the from is going to be, I'm going to select in dynamic content, the value option. All right. I'm going to go to a new step. Actually, I'm gonna choose advanced options first, and I'm gonna go to custom because custom allows you to put in your own headers. So I'm gonna say employee name. I'm gonna choose the employee name from the dynamic content. City, whoops, city and state. State. And I'm gonna go to new step. Now I want to send myself an email with that CSV attachment. So I'm going to type in send. Here it is, send an email. In the to line, this is what I'm going to ask for the email in Power Apps. So I'm going to select ask in Power Apps. The subject is going to be export report. Put that in the body. Then we're going to go to advanced options. Put that same name in the attachments name. And I'm going to say dot CSV. Content. I'm going to select output from dynamic content. So let me zoom in and show you that. So I have the to line, we're going to ask for the email in Power Apps. We have the subject, the body, the attachment's name, and the attachment content. So I'm going to give the flow a name. I'm going to call it employee export. I'm going to press save. Now I'm going to insert a button. Change the text to export. Port. All right, so the name of this flow was called export or employee export. So I have the button selected. I'm in the on select property of the button right here. So I'm going to put in the name of the flow, which is called employee export dot run. Now it's asking for, see how it's asking for email address? Because that's what we want. Remember when we said ask in Power Apps? So the email address is going to be user open and close parentheses, dot email. All right. Make sure that you have that. We have the name of the flow, which is called employee export dot run. And then to get the user's email, it's going to be user, open and close parentheses, dot email. And then you close um, the command, the run command. So now we're ready to export this. When we hit play, press export report. Now let's check to see if it's in our email. Here it is. It's coming. So we have our CSV file. You see the name of it, export report .csv. Let's preview it. And here's our report. So this is all the data from SharePoint. Trying to expand this, but here we go. Here's our data right here. Pretty simple, huh? So now what we want to do is let's change our flow, make it a little bit more dynamic. So I'm gonna go back to our flow, hit edit. So what I want to do now is I don't want to export the entire report. I want to have a report based on the city. So if a user selects a particular city, I want to report on that city as far as how many employees are in that city. So we want to do what's called a filter query or OData query. So I'm gonna go to the get items. So we are doing a filter query right now. So right here, we go to filter query. We need to put in what we want to filter. So we said by city. So it's going to be the name of the column in SharePoint, which is city, EQ, and in single quotes, you're going to ask in Power Apps. for the city. So it's just like this. The name of the column in SharePoint we want to filter in lowercase eq, and in single quotes the value that we want to filter off of, which in this case is the city name. All right. So I'm going to also change the name of the report title and call it so whatever the city name is, report. I'm gonna hit save. All right. So now I have another parameter in my flow that I need to identify. That's why I have this error message. So I need to create that. I need to create a city drop down. So I'm going to copy this. Change the label of this to select a city. I'm going to change the name of this control. It's going to be called city drop down. This one's going to be called employee drop down. Always good practice to rename your controls. So, all right. So now I'm going to modify the gallery. Okay. So what are we saying here? If the employee drop down select is all, we want to show all of the records. All right. So we're going to add another criteria here. I'm going to say city drop down. Selected text. Just copy this. City. All right. So what are we saying here? So if the employee drop down, selected text equals all. We're going to show all the records. If the city drop down is not all, we're going to show the selected city in the gallery. So I need to change this to show the city. Oops. So this is going to be that SharePoint list dot city. Huh. Why is it clearing it out? All right, there we go. So now we have a filter for the city. What? Let's try that again. Here we go. So we select the city. It should filter the gallery. And it does. It's Tucson, Colorado Springs, and so on. All right. So now what we want to do, so this control is called city dropdown. So we need to add that to our run statement. So this is going to be before the email. So I'm going to say city dropdown dot selected text dot value. This should be all that we need. Trying to check this error. Yep. It's just a little slow. All right. So we have our name of our flow, which is called employee export dot run. And we are looking at the city dropdown. And in this case, the value is called Colorado Springs. And we get in the user's email. So when I export this time, I should only get the employee names that are in Colorado Springs. And why do we get an error message? Let me save what we have. Oh, you know what? The email, maybe the email comes first. Probably what it's saying. See if it'll take that. See right there? It's asking for the email first and then the name of the city. So slow. There shouldn't be an error here. Let me see if I can trick it. Go to another screen and come back. Let me refresh the flow. Let me see if it will run that. Probably not. But that's what it's supposed to do. See the arrow going away? Let me try to run it again. I don't get an error message, so we should have run the report. Not sure why it didn't. But that is the basics of how to run reports through Power Apps using the Flow and Power Automate.